The Deal on the Cards podcast is proud to be partnering with Underdog Sports, our favorite place to play fantasy games. You gotta check out Pick'em. It's so easy to play. Just pick 2 to 8 stats of your favorite players and choose whether they'll go higher or lower. You can earn 20 times your money by going 5 for 5. Sound like fun? Sign up with the promo code CARDS to claim your first free pick and first time deposit offer up to $1,000 in bonus cash. We can't wait to see your entries. The St. Louis Cardinals have a rich history of winning baseball, and the 21st century has been no exception. 2 World Series titles, 4 World Series appearances, 10 NLCS trips, and the 4th most postseason wins of this century, the Cardinals have continued to be one of the faces of success in Major League Baseball. Today, we're going to break down the 10 best Cardinals games since the year 2000. There are so many iconic moments to choose from, but these 10 stand out above the rest. Number 10, the Wrigley Field Massacre, September 21st, 2019. No list of the Cardinals' greatest games is complete without a beatdown of the Chicago Cubs. The Cardinals held a 3-game division lead over the Cubs and the Brewers as they entered a 4-game series at Wrigley Field. After taking the first 2 games of the series, the Cubs desperately needed to split the series with St. Louis, but the Cardinals had other plans. The Cubs jumped out to a 3-1 lead in the first inning thanks to a couple of bases-loaded walks surrendered by Dakota Hudson and a sac fly from Jason Hayward. The Cardinals would fight back, though, in the 4th inning after back-to-back singles put the Cardinals up by a score of 5-3, just to have that lead stolen away by known Cardinal killer Ian Happ on a 2-run homer in the bottom of the inning. The game really turned on its head in the bottom of the 7th inning. After what looked to be like a strikeout of Tony Kemp with 1 out and a runner on, Giovanni Gallegos was called for a balk, and Kemp ended up smashing a 2-run homer to center field to put the Cubs up by a score of 8-7 for the 6th lead change of the game. The score would remain 8-7 going into the top of the 9th, where Cubs closer Craig Kimbrell would take the mound to try and shut the door an inch closer to the Cardinals' division lead. On the first pitch of the inning, Kimbrell served up a fastball just above the strike zone to Yadier Molina, which Yadi promptly sent into the bleachers in left field to tie the game. On the next pitch, in almost the exact same location, Paul DeJong smashed the ball to left center field for back-to-back home runs, silencing Wrigley Field before Carlos Martinez closed out the 9th inning, and the Cardinals would go on to sweep the weekend series at Wrigley and end the Cubs' playoff hopes. Number 9, the obstruction call, 2013 World Series Game 3. After splitting the first 2 games in Boston, the Cardinals and Red Sox were in a deadlock score of 2-2 entering the 7th inning before Matt Holliday smoked a double down the left field line to give the Cardinals a 4-2 lead in the 2013 World Series. Carlos Martinez worked himself into a bases-loaded jam in the top of the 8th, and despite the Cardinals bringing in lights-out closer Trevor Rosenthal, the Red Sox managed to dink and dunk their way to 2 runs on balls in the infield to tie the game at 4 apiece. Rosenthal would then retire the Red Sox 1-2-3 in the top of the 9th, leading to one of the craziest finishes to a World Series game. With Yadier Molina on third base and Alan Craig on second, John Jay slapped a ground ball to Dustin Pedroia at second base, who gunned down Molina at the plate for the second out and kept the score tied at 4. As Craig sprinted towards third, Red Sox catcher Jared Saltalamacchia airmailed his throw to third baseman Will Middlebrooks, and the ball bounced against the wall by the third base dugout. As left fielder Shane Victorino collected the ball to throw home, Middlebrooks fell over and lifted his legs up in the air, tripping Craig as he made his way home. Although the throw beat Craig to the plate, home plate umpire Dana DeMuth called obstruction on Middlebrooks, giving the Cardinals a 5-4 victory in Game 3 and a 2-1 series lead over the Red Sox. Unfortunately, the Cardinals would drop the next 3 games and lose the World Series to the Red Sox, but nonetheless, this was one of the wildest World Series games you'll ever see. Number 8, Cardinals rout the Braves, 2019 NLDS Game 5. After fighting back from a 2-1 series deficit, the Cardinals went back to Atlanta as underdogs to face the 97-win Braves in a winner-take-all game. With Jack Flaherty on the mound and coming off a historic second half of his season, the Cardinals had a strong pitching advantage in the game, but their offense would need to come through in Atlanta to send the Cardinals to the NLCS, and boy did it ever. The game was over within minutes of it starting. 7 of the Cardinals' first 8 batters reached base, putting St. Louis up 4-0 with the bases loaded and 1 out before Max Fried was brought in to stop the bleeding. Fried then walked Flaherty with the bases loaded to make it 5-0, followed by back-to-back doubles by Dexter Fowler and Colton Wong, and gave the Cardinals a 9-0 lead over Atlanta. Oh, and to top it all off, Fried got Marcell Ozuna to swing and miss on a curveball in the dirt for strike 3, but the ball booted off catcher Brian McCann to the backstop, and his embarrassing effort to launch the ball to first base summed up the Braves' day as the Cardinals finished the top of the first inning up 10-0 on the NL East champions. As you can imagine, that 10-0 lead was more than enough for Flaherty, as he allowed just one run over 6 innings of work, and the Cardinals advanced to the NLCS by a score of 13-1 over the Braves. Number 7, Jim Edmonds walks it off, 2004 NLCS Game 6. In what has gone down as one of the best teams of all time to not win the World Series, the 2004 St. Louis Cardinals were almost knocked out by their division rival, the Houston Astros, falling behind 3-2 in the 2004 NLCS. The Cardinals' historic lineup was led by the MV3 of Albert Pujols, Scott Rowland, and Jim Edmonds, striking fear in the hearts of opposing pitchers. Pujols and Cardinals shortstop Edgar Renteria helped carry the Cardinals' offense in the first 8 innings of the game, giving St. Louis a 4-3 lead over Houston before a 2-out single from Jeff Bagwell ushered a rare blown save from Jason Isringhausen. Both offenses were held without a base runner for the next 6 half innings before Astros right-hander Dan Maselli pitched around Albert Pujols for a leadoff walk in the bottom of the 12th inning. After Rowland popped out behind home plate for the first out of the inning, Edmonds stepped into the box and hammered a pitch up in the zone for a walk-off 2-run homer to send the Cardinals to Game 7, where they beat the Astros 5-2 on their way to their first World Series appearance since 1987. Unfortunately, the 105-win Cardinals ran into a team of destiny, as the Red Sox broke the curse of the Bambino and swept the Cardinals for their first World Series since 1918. Number 6, Chris Carpenter outduels Roy Halladay, 2011 NLDS Game 5. After falling to 10.5 games back in the wild card race on August 21st, the Cardinals stormed back to overtake the Atlanta Braves and sneak into the 2011 postseason. Their first postseason matchup was against the 102-win Philadelphia Phillies, who boasted one of the best rotations of all time and a strong lineup and bullpen to support it. The Cardinals fought hard all series long, forcing a Game 5 in Philadelphia with 2 of the hottest pitchers in baseball on the mound, Chris Carpenter and Roy Halladay. Cardinal shortstop Rafael Furcal led off the game with a triple into the right center field gap off of Halladay, who finished second in the NL Cy Young voting that year. Skip Schumacher then masterfully battled Halladay in a 10-pitch at-bat before smoking an RBI double to the right field corner to put the Cardinals up 1-0 in a winner-take-all game. That would be the only run the Cardinals would muster up the entire game, as Halladay locked in throughout the remainder of the night, shutting down the Cardinals lineup and working out of any jams he found himself in, including sitting down both Lance Berkman and Matt Holliday with 1 out and the bases loaded in the top of the 8th inning. That meant the Cardinals needed everything Chris Carpenter had that evening, and he delivered one of the grittiest performances of his career. Carpenter allowed just 3 hits, and with the help of some incredible defensive plays behind him throughout the night, held the Phillies in check in all 9 innings, spinning a complete game shutout to advance to the 2011 NLCS. It's one thing to shut out a great lineup. It's another to do so while dueling against one of the greatest starters of all time and only having a 1-run lead to work with. This was truly an iconic performance from Chris Carpenter. Before continuing our list, we want to thank a sponsor of the podcast, 314 Sports Cards and Collectibles. 314 is located at 9640 Olive Boulevard in Olivet, and they're open 10 to 5 Monday through Friday and 9 to 4 on Saturdays. They buy, sell, and trade all sports cards and Pokemon cards, and have the newest selections of packs, boxes, and single cards of local players and stars from around the league. Go check out 314 Sports Cards and Collectibles and let them know we sent you. Number 5, Big City's Big Swing, 2014 NLDS Game 4. In Game 1 of the 2014 NLDS, Clayton Kershaw held the Cardinals lineup to just 2 runs through 7 innings before the Cardinals piled on 6 runs off of Kershaw in the 8th inning to eventually take Game 1 by a score of 10-9. Kershaw was once again on the mound at Game 4, and with the Dodgers down 2-1 in the series, had an even better start to his game. Kershaw shut out the Cardinals through 6 innings, and while Shelby Miller held the Dodgers to just 2 runs, Kershaw's dominance on the mound made that lead feel insurmountable. Matt Holliday and Johnny Peralta led off the inning with back-to-back singles off of that year's Cy Young Award winner, bringing in first baseman Matt Adams to the plate. Adams had just a 190 average and 3 home runs off of lefties the whole year, and on the 0-1 curveball from Kershaw, Adams blasted it into the right field bullpen to put the Cardinals up 3-2 in the bottom of the 7th inning. What makes this home run even crazier is that Adams became the first left-handed hitter to ever hit a home run off of Clayton Kershaw's curveball. With the Dodgers season on the line, Adams came up clutch in a way that no left-handed hitter had ever against one of the greatest pitchers of all time. Pat Neshek and Trevor Rosenthal closed things down for St. Louis, sending the Cardinals to their 4th straight NLCS appearance. Number 4, the largest comeback in a winner-take-all game in MLB history, 2012 NLDS Game 5. In 2012, the Cardinals snuck into the playoffs and beat the Atlanta Braves in a controversial first ever NL wildcard game, and now had the chance to continue the World Series title defense against the team with the best record in the National League that year, the Washington Nationals. Led by rising stars Bryce Harper and Steven Strasburg, alongside a strong veteran core highlighted by Ryan Zimmerman and Gio Gonzalez, the Cardinals had the wind knocked out of them in Game 4 after giving up a walk-off home run to Jason Worth, leading to a winner-take-all Game 5 in Washington, D.C. the next night. The Cardinals looked defeated early in that contest, as ace Adam Wainwright was roughed up for 6 runs and 2 1/3 innings of work, and the Cardinals were staring down a 6-0 deficit with the third-place Cy Young finisher Gio Gonzalez on the mound. The Cardinals began to slowly chip away at the Nationals' lead, as Matt Holliday drove in a run in the 4th inning and added 2 runs in the 5th inning on a wild pitch and a bases-loaded walk from Gonzalez that inning. Holliday added on another run in the 7th inning on an RBI groundout, and the Daniel Descalso brought the game within 1 run on a solo home run in the top of the 8th inning. Cardinals closer Jason Mott came into the game in the bottom of the 8th inning, but an RBI single from Kurt Suzuki felt like the backbreaker as the Cardinals fell behind the Nationals 7-5 going into the 9th inning. Carlos Beltran doubled off closer Drew Storen to start the 9th inning, and after Yadier Molina and David Freese drew 2 out walks, the game fell on the shoulders of the light-hitting Daniel Descalso once again. With the bases loaded, Descalso smacked a ground ball up the middle and off the glove of shortstop Ian Desmond, allowing 2 runs to come in to score and tie the game up at 7 apiece. Rookie shortstop Pete Kozma came up to the plate next, and after a Descalso swiped second base to put both runners in scoring position, Kozma slapped a soft line drive to right field, scoring both runners and putting the finishing touches on a historic comeback to put the Cardinals up 9-7 going into the bottom of the 9th inning. Mott closed the door on the Nationals in the 9th, and the Cardinals shocked the world with one of the greatest comebacks in MLB history, but it's somehow not even the most iconic comeback on this list. Number 3. Pujols' moonshot in Space City, 2005 NLCS Game 5. In a rematch of the 2004 NLCS, the Cardinals were down 3-1 to Houston and were fighting for their playoff lives on the road in Minute Maid Park. The Cardinals sent ace Chris Carpenter to the mound in a hostile environment, but he was matched up against one of the best postseason pitchers in MLB history in Andy Pettitte. Pettitte would hold up his end of the matchup, limiting the 100-win Cardinals lineup to just 2 runs over 6 1/3 innings of work before handing things over to Houston's strong bullpen. Carpenter, who was excellent in his first 2 starts of the postseason, was rolling all the way into the 7th inning before allowing a 3-run home run to Lance Berkman to put the Astros up 4-2. On came Brad Lidge to shut down the 9th inning, one of the best relievers in all of baseball, who had allowed only 1 run in his first 11 career postseason appearances. Lidge struck out the first 2 batters of the inning, and with just 1 out to go with the trip to the World Series on the line, Minute Maid Park was rocking with excitement and anticipating the final out. Down to his final strike, David Eckstein hit a ground ball single past the diving glove of the third baseman, and after issuing a walk to Jim Edmonds, the air in the stadium began to shift as Albert Pujols approached the plate. The future Hall of Famer had a hit in all 7 games leading up to Game 5, but had gone over 4 at the plate leading up to that at-bat. Lidge fooled Pujols with a first pitch slider to get ahead in the count 0-1. But what happened next is forever implanted in the minds of Cardinals and Astros fans to this day. Lidge broke out the slider once again, but this time it hung in the zone, and Pujols demolished that baseball into the Houston sky, and rumor has it hasn't landed to this day. That 3-run moonshot gave the Cardinals a 5-4 lead, and Jason Isringhausen closed the game down to keep the Cardinals' playoff hopes alive. Houston would close out the Cardinals in Game 6, but all anyone remembers from that series is how Pujols destroyed that baseball. It actually seemed to break Brad Lidge for a while, as he took 2 losses in the World Series and had a terrible season in 2006. But that's the power of a legendary moment like Pujols had. Number 2, Yun Yadi and Waino become Cardinals legends. 2006 NLCS Game 7. The best Cardinal of the 21st century had his legendary moment at number 3 on our list, but the second and third best Cardinals of the century began their allure a year later. Starters Oliver Perez and Jeff Suppan were locked into a classic pitcher's duel, with Suppan managing to dance out of a bases-loaded jam in the 6th inning, allowing just 1 run over 7 innings of work. Perez almost handed the game to St. Louis, but left fielder Andy Chavez made a spectacular catch to rob Scott Rowland of a 2-run homer in the top of the 6th inning. In the top of the 9th, Rowland hit a ground ball single to left field, and on the first pitch of the next at-bat, Yadier Molina smashed a 2-run home run, much too far for Chavez to rob this time, to give St. Louis a 3-1 lead entering the bottom of the ninth with a trip to Detroit on the line. Earlier in the season, legendary closer Jason Isringhausen suffered a hip injury that kept him out of the playoffs. Hall of Fame manager Tony La Russa put his trust in rookie Adam Wainwright to close out games for the Cardinals, and his faith in Wainwright was tested in a big way in Game 7. Wainwright allowed back-to-back singles to start the inning, and after striking out Cliff Floyd and getting Jose Reyes to line out to center field, walked the next batter to load the bases for one of the best postseason hitters in baseball history, Carlos Beltran. Molina and Wainwright's legendary relationship was on full display in that at-bat. Molina called for a first pitch changeup that clearly fooled Beltran. Then they went to Wainwright's iconic curveball, which Beltran fouled off for strike 2. Up 0-2 on Beltran, Wainwright unleashed one of his best Uncle Charlies, striking out Beltran looking and sending the Cardinals back to the World Series. St. Louis would go on to beat the Tigers 4-1, collecting their first World Series title in 24 years and cementing Pujols, Molina, and Wainwright's legacies as winners in St. Louis. Number 1. The hometown hero lives every kid's dream. 2011 World Series Game 6. The top spot on our list happens to be the greatest game in baseball history. The Cardinals returned to the World Series in 2011, once again as a wildcard team of destiny, mowing through the National League contenders on their way to facing the Texas Rangers, who were making their second straight World Series appearance. Down 3-2, the Cardinals were facing elimination in Game 6 of the World Series. The first 6 innings were a back-and-forth affair, with 7 lead changes or game-tying hits peppering the box score before the Texas Rangers took a 3-run lead in the top of the 7th on home runs from Nelson Cruz and Adrian Beltre, as well as an RBI single from Ian Kinsler. Alan Craig brought the Cardinals within 2 runs on a solo home run in the bottom of the 8th, but the Cardinals would have to pull off a miracle going into the bottom of the 9th. Albert Pujols and Lance Berkman reached base for the Cardinals. The strikeouts of Ryan Theriot and Alan Craig meant David Freese was the Cardinals' final hope. The NLCS MVP was on an absolute heater that postseason, and after going down to the count 1-2 and on his final strike, laced a 98-mile-per-hour fastball from Natali Feliz over the outstretched glove of Nelson Cruz. As Cruz chased the ball down to right field, Pujols and Berkman would come around to score, and Freese slid headfirst into third base, tying the game on a triple at 7-7. The momentum wouldn't last long, as with closer Jason Mott on the mound in the 10th inning, Rangers slugger Josh Hamilton launched a 2-run homer into right center field, once again putting the Cardinals on the ropes in the bottom of the 10th. After back-to-back singles off of Darren Oliver and a sacrifice bunt from Kyle Loesch, Ryan Theriot scored Daniel Descalso on an RBI groundout off of reliever Scott Feldman, and after intentionally walking Albert Pujols, the Cardinals were once again down to their final out and final strike with Lance Berkman at the plate. Berkman promptly slashed a line drive into short center field to score John Jay from second, and once again we had a tie game. After Jake Westbrook shut down the Rangers in the top of the 11th, Mark Lowe came into the game to face leadoff hitter David Freese. After working a 3-2 count, Freese launched the pitch into the batter's eye in center field, and as fans climbed and collapsed on the ball, we got those famous words from Joe Buck that were once uttered by his father 2 decades before. "We will see you tomorrow night." The Cardinals would go on to win Game 7, securing their 11th World Series title and giving Cardinals fans perhaps the greatest memories a baseball team will ever provide them. There were so many games that could have made this list, so drop a few of your favorites down below that you think deserve consideration. Consider liking the video and subscribing to keep up with our St. Louis Cardinals podcast called Dealing the Cards. If you like this video and want to watch more content, check out the rise, fall, and rebirth of Tyler O'Neill or our latest podcast episode on your screen now.